Hunter Kanoki. This is Fools at BQ, a show where I take the internet's most burning questions and give you an answer to make you the smartest person at your next physics convention. On today's episode, the equation everyone quotes and nobody explains. You've seen it on t-shirts, on posters, on the walls of coffee shops trying a little too hard. E equals mc². Everybody knows it. Nobody can actually tell you, though, what it means. Ask 10 people what those three letters actually represent, and you'll get some version of energy, mass, and something with light, followed immediately by a hopeful change of subject. So here's the question actually we're sitting with. What is the equation really claiming? Because on the surface, it sounds almost too simple to be one of the most important discoveries in the history of physics. Mass equals energy times some constant. And that's it. That's the thing that helped explain the sun, helped build nuclear power plants, and helped end a world war. What is actually being said here in plain terms that made this specific string of letters and numbers become the single most recognizable equation on the entire planet? Well, today we're about to find out. Now, if you're new here or not new here, huge favor, if you could just go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening, that'd be great, so that the next answer finds you automatically, no advanced physics degree required. It's super important. Most people that are listening don't follow the show, so if you could hit the follow button and auto-download every episode, that would be massively, massively helpful. And if you've been enjoying the show, a quick rating or review genuinely helps. And if you're on Spotify, you can go ahead and leave a comment on the episode. I actually reply to all of them that I can and love having conversations and hearing people's thoughts in the comment section. So follow the show, leave a review, and now let's get into the equation. So let's start with where this thing actually came from, because the backstory is genuinely wild. In 1905, a 26-year-old patent clerk in Switzerland named Albert Einstein, working a day job reviewing other people's inventions, published a series of 4 papers that would completely rewrite our understanding of physics. Historians now call that year his Annus Mirabilis, Latin for miracle year, and it's generally not an exaggeration because in the span of just a few months, this one clerk with no university lab and no research team fundamentally altered how humanity understood light, time, and matter itself. Now, one of those 4 papers introduced special relativity, the idea that time and space aren't fixed universal constants, but actually shift depending on how fast you're moving relative to something else. A separate short follow-up paper submitted just a few months later and only 3 pages long quietly introduced the idea that would become E equals mc². The original title of that paper was not even a bold declaration. It was phrased as a question. Quote, does the inertia of a body depend upon its energy content? Unquote. Even Einstein himself seemed a little unsure about it at first. In a letter to a friend around that time, he described the idea as amusing and attractive, but wondered whether, as he put it, the good Lord was laughing at him and leading him around by the nose. But it turns out the good Lord was not laughing. Einstein was right. And it would take physicists a better part of the next 2 decades to fully catch up to what he'd actually discovered. So let's actually break the equation apart piece by piece, because each letter is doing real specific work, and once you understand each piece individually, the whole thing stops feeling mysterious and starts actually feeling almost obvious. So let's start with E. E stands for energy, and in physics, energy just means the capacity to do work, to cause some kind of change or motion. That covers a surprisingly wide range of things. Heat is energy, light is energy, electricity running through your walls right now is energy. The motion of your car on the highway is energy. Even sound, technically, is a form of energy moving through the air. When physicists talk about energy in this equation, they mean the total collective amount of it contained within an object in whatever form it happens to take. Next is M, which stands for mass. Mass is a measurement of how much actual matter is packed into an object, and it's genuinely worth pointing out here that mass is not the same thing as weight, even though we tend to use those words interchangeably in everyday conversation. Your weight changes depending on gravity, so you'd weigh significantly less standing on the moon and considerably more standing on, say, Jupiter. But your mass, the actual amount of physical stuff you're made of, stays exactly the same no matter where in the universe you happen to be standing. Mass is also a measure of how much an object resists being moved. A bowling ball has more mass than a tennis ball, which is why it takes a lot more force to get it rolling. So that's E, that's M, and now there's C, which stands for the speed of light, a fixed, unchanging number, roughly 300 million meters per second, or about 186,000 miles per second. It's considered the universe's ultimate speed limit, and nothing with actual mass can ever reach it, let alone exceed it. In the equation, that number gets squared, meaning multiplied by itself, and that squaring is doing an enormous amount of heavy lifting here. So now here's the equation in plain English. Energy equals mass multiplied by an absolutely enormous number. And that's really the entire point of the equation hiding in plain sight. Because the speed of light is already such a massive number to begin with, squaring it produces a number so large it's honestly difficult to visualize using anything from everyday life. It works out to roughly 9 followed by 16 zeros. So even a tiny, almost insignificant amount of mass, when multiplied by a number that large, produces a genuinely staggering amount of energy. Now let's make that concrete, because the actual math here is where it stops being abstract and starts being genuinely mind-bending. Physicist Emma Osborne has calculated that converting just 1 kilogram of mass, roughly the weight of a bag of sugar you'd grab off a grocery shelf, into pure energy would release enough power to supply the entire United Kingdom with electricity for a full year. 1 kilogram, an entire country for 12 months. That's a scale we're talking about here, and it's genuinely difficult to overstate how counterintuitive that is. Nothing about a bag of sugar suggests it's secretly holding that much untapped power. Now, I know this may still be confusing for a lot of people, so I'm going to strip away the letters for a second, and here's what the equation is actually telling you in the plainest terms possible, and what it means. Everything around you, every object, every person, every rock, is secretly a kind of frozen energy. Not metaphorically, literally. Before Einstein, scientists treated matter and energy as two completely separate categories, like apples and oranges, related but fundamentally different things. Einstein's equation said no, they're actually the same category, just wearing different outfits. That single idea is the seed everything else in this episode grows out of. So according to Einstein, mass and energy are two different forms of the exact same underlying thing. The same way ice, water, and steam are all just different physical states of the same molecule. Under the right conditions, mass can convert into energy, and energy, weirdly enough, can convert into mass. That means every single object around you right now, including your own body, every chair, every wall, every cup of coffee, etc., is fundamentally a form of extremely tightly packed, extremely stable energy, just currently sitting still, being matter. And this idea is what physicists call rest energy. Even an object that isn't moving at all, sitting perfectly still on a table, still contains an enormous inherent quantity of energy purely because it has mass. That's genuinely one of the strangest implications buried inside this whole equation. Stillness does not mean an absence of energy. It just means the energy is currently locked up in matter form rather than being released outward as motion, heat, or light. Your kitchen table isn't doing anything, but according to Einstein, it's still quietly holding an almost unimaginable reserve of potential energy, just not in a form your table happens to be using at the moment. Now, here's where it's important to clear up a common misunderstanding, because a lot of casual explanations get this slightly wrong, and it's worth taking the time to get it right. E equals mc² does not mean mass simply disappears and turns into energy out of nowhere like matter vanishing into thin air. What actually happens, particularly in nuclear reactions, is far more precise and far more measurable than that. When an atom's nucleus splits apart, a process called fission, or when two small nuclei fuse together, a process called fusion, the resulting particles end up with slightly less combined mass than what you started with. And that tiny, almost immeasurable small difference in mass doesn't simply vanish into nothing, it gets released as energy, following exactly the ratio described in Einstein's equation. Physicists can actually measure this precisely in laboratory settings. They weigh the starting materials, weigh the ending materials after the reaction, and the difference, multiplied by the speed of light squared, matches the measured energy released almost perfectly. That level of precision is part of why this equation is considered one of the most thoroughly tested ideas in the entire history of science. And this exact process is happening right now, this very second, inside the sun, converting hydrogen into helium through fusion. And it's the reason the sun has been steadily producing light and heat for around 4.6 billion years without running out of fuel. Every bit of warmth you feel from sunlight hitting your skin traces directly back to tiny amounts of mass being converted into energy 93 million miles away. It's also the underlying scientific principle behind nuclear power plants here on Earth, which use carefully controlled fission reactions to generate electricity for millions of homes. And somberly, it's the same basic underlying principle behind nuclear weapons, which is genuinely the reason this equation became so historically significant so quickly after it was published, tangled up with the Manhattan Project and the end of the Second World War, even though Einstein's original 1905 paper had absolutely nothing to do with weapons at all. And so here is the honest, complete answer. E equals mc² tells us that mass and energy are fundamentally the same underlying thing, interchangeable under the right conditions, connected by a conversion factor so enormous that even microscopic amounts of mass represent staggering quantities of potential energy. It's not really an equation about explosions or bombs, even though that's often the first thing people associate it with. It's a statement about the basic architecture of reality itself, a quiet 3-page insight from an underappreciated patent clerk that the stuff you're made of and the energy that powers stars are at the deepest possible level, not actually two different things at all. Now, I hope I broke this down as simply as I possibly could. I know it's a lot of information and not all of us are physicist majors, but if you got a little information, at least understood it a little bit more than what you did before, well, that's a win in my book. So, quick reminder before we do wrap up, if this one made that t-shirt equation actually make sense to you, well, go ahead and follow the show so episode 116 lands automatically, and a quick rating or review generally helps out the show and helps other curious people find us and get their way here too. Thanks for listening to Fool's FAQ. If you learned something that'll make you more interesting at your next dinner party, here's a free way to support the show. And honestly, it's the one move that moves the needle the most. Follow Fool's FAQ wherever you're listening and leave a quick rating and review while you're there. That's it. 30 seconds, costs you nothing, and is genuinely the single best way for other curious people to find us. We continue to grow almost entirely because somebody took half a minute to say it was worth listening to. Music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. New episodes Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And as always, stay curious.